$879.53 that I paid in energy usage in August for my Airbnb. That's like one 2-night stay.
Texas has spent years being sold as the conservative success story: low taxes, booming growth, affordable living, and opportunity for working families. But this debate raises a much harder question. What happens when the Texas affordability story no longer matches the bills people are actually receiving? A $900 electric bill, hundreds of dollars for water, rising rent, insurance, groceries, property taxes, and tolls. And while Texans are being told the state is thriving, many families say their paychecks simply aren't keeping up. So, is this just inflation and rapid growth? Or is there a deeper policy failure behind the rising cost of living? And if Republicans have controlled Texas for decades, how much responsibility should they take for the results? In this video, we're going beyond the outrage and breaking down the economics, the politics, and the arguments on both sides. If you want a clear analysis of what's really happening, subscribe and stay with us. Let's jump into the Texas cost of living debate.
Feel trapped. She says her water bill from Texas Water Utilities has ruined it for her. Take a look at her most recent bill. In addition to her usage, she's paying $138 in base fees for her water and sewer, putting her bill at $210. Since she's been in the home for the last year, Texas Water Utilities has raised the fees by about $20 a month. At first, 13 Investigates thought that Easter's neighborhood was the only one struggling with the fees from Texas Water Utilities because it was a new area. But then we found out that about 750 of the company's customers filed what's called a ratepayer protest with the Public Utility Commission on one of Texas Water Utilities' recent requests for an increase. People across the state in about 50 cities who wrote into the PUC asking them to deny the additional increase.
My husband and I are both about to turn 72, and we live on a limited income of Social Security.
I'm sure we're not the only ones with this problem.
This community is facing a water rate hike that is simply devastating to our families.
This is absolutely outrageous. Someone has got to step in and help us.
Just seems like this would be a bit exorbitant.
I don't understand any of this, how they want and need more money every year.
With that many people speaking out about the hardships these increasing costs are putting on Texas families, we wondered if the PUC was actually taking their concerns into account. We asked the PUC, and they told us that input from ratepayers is, quote, extremely important, and that they encourage Texans to get involved in the process. A spokesman also said that there is no cap on the fees, meaning there's no limit to how high they can get.
So I saw a post the other day that said Houston is now one of the poorest cities in America. And at first glance, I ain't gonna lie, it definitely made sense. The average job does not pay enough to cover rent, groceries, bills, and a damn emergency. When you actually compare the cost of living to what these jobs pay, it just don't add up. They're literally asking people to survive on math that doesn't make sense.
I fear the days of Texas cities being cheap are long gone. I keep seeing ad after ad from realtors talking about, look at this.
How am I gonna pay you $500 a month if I'm getting paid $9?
It's $9 an hour, not $9 a day. $9 per hour.
Shut your mouth. I'm gonna go on my calculator. $9 times like 8.
Yeah.
72.
Well, they're gonna take taxes out too.
So like $60.
And Social Security.
$500 a month and I'm getting $60 a day? You're taking like all my money!
From skyrocketing rent to rising utility bills, many say the pressure is hitting faster than they can adjust. For some families, it's forcing difficult choices about what they can afford and what they have to give up to survive.
So Greg Abbott is up for re-election in 2026. And let me show you something. This is a chart that came out recently on how things were in Texas before he came into office. This was in 2014. up
house. It's only $899,000. This one is a gem for $1.5 million, only 30 minutes away from Dallas. It's like, this is ridiculous. This is not the Texas I remember growing up. There was a time when housing used to be kind of stagnant for decades, unless you were like in certain areas, the bougie ass areas that a lot of us middle class people avoided. But damn, it's like $1 million house is nothing. It's like we're living in California but paying these crazy ass real estate taxes of Texas. How do people survive in Texas anymore? In these cities? It's kind of crazy.
I said it once and I'm going to say it again. NTTA, they are scamming everybody. They're taking money from every person they send a bill to in the mail. They know what they're doing. Here's the thing. Toll roads were supposed to pay off the construction at which the road in question was being built. Once construction was paid off from the highway being built, it was supposed to become a normal toll road. So here's my problem. With all these toll roads that have been in Dallas for over a decade, why are none of them becoming free highways? And why do we keep adding more of them?
After looking at everything in this debate,
we're still in
I think the
2025,
biggest issue
and this
is not whether Texas
the
is
change.
still growing.
I can't point
it
at it. Whatever. This is a change right there.
The bigger question is who is
everything
actually
has gotten
benefiting
worse.
from that growth.
Like there is not a single measure that has
because you can point to population growth,
Texas.
inflation,
Gun deaths,
energy demand,
gotten worse,
housing
rural
shortages,
hospital closures,
or market
most
forces.
closures in the United States.
Those factors
uncertified
matter,
teachers,
but they don't completely
more than
answer
doubled.
why so many
Rent
ordinary
burden,
Texans
rent has
are
gone
describing
up.
the same experience.
Property
Their
taxes
income
have nearly
goes up,
doubled
yet
under
their
this
financial
man.
breathing room disappears.
Great
and
failures,
that's where the political
crisis.
argument becomes
I don't know how
unavoidable.
people
if Texas
look at this
Republicans
chart,
have controlled
if they
the
even
state
look at
for
it,
decades,
or just look
then
about
they
their
cannot
daily life
permanently
and how
campaign as
costs
if they
are
have nothing
going
to
up
do with the
and
conditions
continue
Texans
to
are
want
living under.
to
At the same
re-elect
time,
him and the
blaming
Republican
every
Party.
rising
The
bill
Republican
on
Party
one political
has been
party,
in control of
one
Texas
company,
for over
or
30
one
years
industry
at this point.
oversimplifies
So whenever Greg Abbott
a
and Dan
complicated
Patrick and
economic
Crooked-Eyed
problem.
Ken
The
Paxton
real
and
test of
all
leadership
the
should be much
Republicans are
simpler.
like, Democrats
Can
are making
ordinary
your
people
lives
afford
worse.
to live here? Can teachers afford
Democrats
housing?
have not controlled
Can
Texas for over
retirees
30
handle
years.
utility
What makes the
increases?
Texas cost
Can
of living
families
crisis
absorb
so
another
frustrating
insurance
is
hike?
that it is
Can
hitting
young
people
workers
from
build
every
a future
direction at
without needing
once.
six
It
figures
is
just
not
to feel financially stable? Those are not abstract political questions. They're everyday economic realities. And if the Texas model is truly working, its leaders should be able to explain why so many Texans feel like the math no longer works.
Surviving as a single adult, we have the national average for rent at $1,400, utilities at $250, groceries at $400, car insurance plus gas at $600, phone and internet at $150, health insurance at $350. Monthly, this will break down to $3,150. Yearly, that's about $40,000 to $45,000. And hourly, that breaks down to $19 to $22 per hour. Keep in mind, just surviving, this is paycheck to paycheck. No savings are involved. Now let's see how much you have to make to live comfortably as a single adult. We have rent in a better area at $1,700, utilities at $300, groceries plus eating out at $600, car insurance plus gas at $700, phone and internet at $180, health insurance at $400, funds, savings, and emergencies at $700. Monthly, this breaks down to about $4,600. Yearly, that comes to $75,000 to $95,000 per year. Hourly, you would need to make about $36 to $46 per hour. And as a family of four, you would need to make about $200,000 per year. As a household, hourly, that equates to $95 to $115 per hour. Now let's break down what you would need to make in the top 5 cities to live comfortably. In Austin, you would need to make $100,000 to $115,000 per year, which equates to $48 to $55 per hour. Dallas, you would need to make $95,000 to $110,000 per year, which breaks down to $46 to $53 per hour. Houston, you would have to make $85K to $100K per year, which breaks down to $41 to $48 per hour. San Antonio, you would need to make $80,000 to $95,000 per year, which equates to $38 to $46 per hour. In El Paso, you would need to make $70K to $85K per year, which equates to $34 to $41 per hour.
It's not the immigrants taking our housing. It's not the immigrants that are the reason why we don't have affordable housing, and it's not the immigrants that are the reason why housing is more expensive. It's because of investor-owned short-term rentals like those through Airbnb. And Greg Abbott just took $1 million from one of these guys whose interest is not in working Texans, but in his business.
Hey y'all, let's talk Texas, because the cost of living is rising and spreading like wildfire. For example, food prices in Houston right now have grown about 2.6% this year. Across the entire state of Texas, the cost of living essentials have grown 7.8% annually. So essentially what that means is that what $100 got you at the grocery store last year is not getting you the same thing this year. And check this, it's not even just groceries. Rent prices are growing out of this world. Right now, more than half of the people that are renting in Texas right now, 30% of their income is literally going to housing and utilities. And what's crazy about this whole thing is that a lot of us are making way more money than we were making years ago. But the thing is that money's not stretching like it used to. And things we used to buy and grab and go at the grocery store, now we have to do a double take at the price tag just because the prices have doubled since when we used to buy it last year. So whether you live in Dallas, Austin, Houston, San Antonio, small town, big town, no matter where you stay, we're all feeling the rising cost of living.
Texas teachers got a raise, and I'm very appreciative for that. But for some reason in my head, I started to think that maybe like I was a millionaire or something, because on my way home, I was giving myself a pep talk, as one does, and talking about all the things I need to do. And I'm like, I need to get in touch with my insurance agent and start putting some money in my 403B, which I should be doing anyway, because I was like, I've got to hide some of this money that I got for my raise. And then I was like, girl, that money is hidden with your bills. Like, you ain't even got any money to hide, but I'm still trying to hide money because, like, it shows that I'm making more money, but I'm not. So how does that work? Whenever it shows that you're making more money, but your bills went up, and I'm like worried that I'm going to have to pay more into taxes. So in my brain, I'm thinking I need to hide my money in a 403B, but I don't have any money to hide.
A new report breaks down what it actually takes to live comfortably in North Texas in 2025, and the numbers may surprise you. According to the analysis, a single adult in Dallas-Fort Worth now needs at least $85,000 a year to cover housing, transportation, food, healthcare, and savings. For a family of 4, that number climbs to more than $150,000 due to record-setting housing costs and rising childcare expenses. Researchers say North Texas's rapid growth continues to push living costs higher.
I live in the outskirts of Houston, like in the suburbs, and it's not cheap to live, and we pay a lot of taxes, and there's one Starbucks, like in the middle of everything, and they gave them 24 hours yesterday to close up. Everybody lost their job. Gone. Drove by Five Below today, 2 of them closed. They were open last week. And people are losing their jobs. And I feel like this is the first phase of what's to come. If you have money saved up, if you have a job you're thinking about leaving, I wouldn't do it. Because it's about to get bad.
The data center issue in Texas should be a major warning sign. These massive facilities consume enormous amounts of electricity, and when they move into communities, they do not just plug in quietly and disappear. They put pressure on the grid, demand new infrastructure, negotiate lower rates, and often leave regular households paying more. That is the part people need to understand. A billionaire-owned data center can negotiate cheaper electricity because it uses so much power, but when the grid needs upgrades, when transmission lines get overloaded, and when delivery fees rise, the cost does not magically stay with the corporation. It lands on homeowners, renters, teachers, retirees, and working families. That is not innovation. That is cost shifting. Texas politicians love to brag about being pro-business, but being pro-business should not mean making ordinary people subsidize billion-dollar companies. If a project raises bills, strains water systems, and creates more pressure for families already struggling, then voters have every right to ask who the government is really serving. MAGA says it fights the elites, but in Texas, the elites seem to keep getting the discounts while regular people get the invoice.
Your Austin utility bill is expected to go up an average of $9.54 a month. You don't just pay for electricity on your utility bill, you also pay fees for all these departments, and all of them will have small increases. For the electric part, some of these charges are going up and some are going down. Austin Energy says they tried to balance it out. Plus, Austin Water is increasing its rates to cover rising costs and projects like expanding its wastewater treatment plant.
You know, when they say everything's bigger in Texas, boy, isn't it? Bills are higher. Bills are higher. Bills are higher. Rent's higher. Heat's higher. Utilities are higher. Paychecks are lower.
Gas bills doubled this month for a lot of homeowners here in El Paso, Texas. But don't worry, they say that you can set up a payment plan to make accommodations. Now let's talk about why this is actually happening. According to a recent article by Fox, the increase is tied to a few things. Texas Gas Service says that there's a new rate structure, higher delivery charges, and increased usage during the colder weather. They also point to spikes in natural gas market prices during part of this billing cycle. So yes, colder weather absolutely can raise your usage. Yes, the market prices do fluctuate, but the article also highlights changes to base charges and delivery fees, and those are fixed costs. That's not just how high you turn up your heater, that's about how the bill itself is structured. So this is something that is going to be going on more and more, and that's why people are super frustrated, because when your bill nearly doubles, it doesn't just feel like a small adjustment. It feels like something fundamentally is changing within your bill structure. And again, yes, you can set up a payment plan, but a payment plan doesn't lower the new base charges. It doesn't remove delivery fees increases, and it spreads this month's balance into next month's, while next month's balance is still building. This is exactly what I mean when I say affordability in El Paso isn't just about mortgages. It's utilities, it's insurance, it's property taxes, it's everything stacking up all at once.
Y'all, have you noticed how crazy these utility bills are right now? I don't know what's going on. I'm in the state of Texas, in the DFW area. If y'all are experiencing the same thing that I am seeing right now, reach out to me, leave a comment, let me know, what your situation is, what you're experiencing with these high utility bills.
Never in my life have I ever seen a $900 electric bill until this month in the state of Texas. Never have I felt so hurt paying an electric bill than I do today. And I'm 36. I don't know how these kids are surviving out there. If you have a daughter or son that's graduating and getting out there in the world by themselves, and they're paying their rent and electric and car and insurance, I don't know how they're surviving. I don't know how. I don't know. A $900 electric bill, and we keep it at 80? I've looked into everything. I've sent texts over to try to figure this out. They said they just raise the rates in the summer.
It come on a Monday. The envelope bore no mercy, no smile, only that cruel whirling sun of TXU. A logo that shines not with hope, but with consequence. As if to say, you danced, now pay. I broke the seal back like I was peeling back the bandage on a wound I'd done give myself, and there it was. $696.27. Now, I recall a time not too long ago when a man could just sleep with just a fan on. Box fan in the window, sheets damp with his own resolve. But then came August. August, that devil in cargo shorts. She comes with air so thick you can taste the mosquitoes before they bite you. And I, a weak and weary creature, I touched the thermostat, dropped her down to 71, the sin of comfort. I knew what I was doing. Each degree of betrayal, each hour a soft lie told in Freon, but I pressed on. A man cannot sweat through 3 showers a day and still hold his head high at the HEB. Now I'm shackled, betrayed and bound by wattage and poor choices, and yet I will do it again, for I have known the chill, and I will not go back.
One of the gentlemen mentioned that the Fermis one they're building is 11 gigawatts of power. Let's put this in perspective. That is 4 City of Austins. We are building 4 City of Austins right next to Amarillo. The one in Abilene, that's a Seattle. The one in Midland, Odessa, that is 1.5 Austins. The one in Waco is about the same. We are building these things throughout our state, throughout everywhere. And not because any of us asked for it, because these folks are being shady as hell.
The housing and wage numbers make the situation even harder to ignore.
Utility companies, and they negotiate a super cheap rate because they're going to be buying an enormous amount of electricity. So they already get it cheaper than everyone else. Then at some point, the data center's up and running, and guess what? All of the transmission lines that go to all the homes are running at maximum capacity because the data center uses so much electricity. And when transmission lines are running at a very high capacity, the delivery fees for the homeowners skyrocket and all of their bills double, sometimes triple. Why? Not because they used any more electricity, but because there's a data center sitting there. A data center owned by billionaires who are paying less per unit of electricity than a school teacher who, oh, by the way, has to now pay triple her electric bill because the data center is sitting there. Do you understand? Thanks.
I firmly believe that utility companies in the state of Texas are just stupid on purpose. But this is the state of Texas. And this right here, this is the Permian Basin. This is basically a massive deposit of oil and natural gas. Now, let me ask you, as people who aren't deep in the oil industry, if you had this massive deposit of oil and natural gas and your state badly needed oil and natural gas reserves and badly needed a source for oil and natural gas to be transmitted out to all the different areas, would you A, build power plants here, or B, which is what the state of Texas is doing, start building transmission lines from sources that are over 1,000 miles away? Which one of those seems like the proper solution? Which one of those in your head makes the most sense, right? Well, the state of Texas picked B.
Okay, PSA, if you guys are living in Texas right now and you're going broke paying for your water usage every month. So a couple days ago, I got billed $426 for our water usage for last month. So this is after we paid $250 the month before and $90 a month before that. So when we got charged the $250, I said, oh, that's my bad. We've been watering the grass too much. We just got to cut it back. So we cut it back to 1 day a week. That was it. It was 4, and then now it's 1. So we went from $90 to $250 to now $426. And we cut back on water every single time.
Are there any Texans that can help me with my power bill? Because my power bill is over $300 this month and I don't understand it. I'm saying help me understand my power bill because I don't get it. Apparently I'm on a 12-month plan that's supposed to be cheaper. I've never had a plan for power before in my entire existence. I don't understand this. When I was in Florida, I was in the same exact townhome situation I am in now, and it cost me between $60 to $90. 1 month it was $120 something because it was super hot that summer, but never over $300.
If I wasn't convinced already to sell the house and go live in a camper full time, this electric bill that I got today might push me over the limit. $451. The kids went back to school. Yes, I work from home, but still, this is almost as much. No, it's more than last month's bill. But the past 4 months have been over $400. 1 month was almost $500. And yes, I don't live in the smallest house. I get that. And I do have a pool, so therefore a pump's been running. And I work from home. But still, my bill has been averaging $300 to $400.